My people, sit close and listen. For this story I am about to tell is not just a tale, it is a journey of love, loss, betrayal, and the power of rising when life throws you into the dust. In a small village nestled near the river Nandamu, where the red clay kissed the feet of barefoot children and goats wandered freely among the mango trees, there lived a young man named Kato. Kato was strong, humble, and known by all for his hard-working spirit. He wore his heart on his sleeve and never said no to anyone in need. The old men liked him, the young ones admired him, and the women, they watched him with dreams in their eyes. But Kato, he had eyes only for one woman, Amina. She was the village flower with eyes like the night sky and a voice that calmed the spirit like a lullaby after a long day in the fields. They grew up together, under the same sun, chasing each other through maize fields, laughing under the shade of the big baobab tree. By the time they were in their early 20s, it was no secret. They were meant to be. Kato worked in the nearby town, just 3 hours away. He had a good job at a factory that made farming tools. He was respected, paid decently, and every weekend without fail, he came back to the village with gifts. Not only for Amina but for her mother, her siblings, even the old widows at the market. He was building a house for her, brick by brick with his own 2 hands and a fire in his heart. But as the elders say, when the wind changes, even the proudest tree must bend. One day the factory closed, just like that. The owner disappeared. Rumors flew, but the result was clear. Kato lost his job. Just like the sudden harmattan winds that come without warning, his world shifted. At first, he thought it was just a pause in his journey, a test from the ancestors. He returned home that weekend like always, but with no gift bag, only silence in his hands. At first, Amina smiled and said, "Don't worry, my Kato, better days will come." But that smile, it didn't last. Days turned to weeks, weeks turned to months, and soon the whispers began. How can you marry a man with no job? Love cannot cook the food. Amina, you are too beautiful to waste your youth waiting for promises. Kato tried everything. He worked on farms. He fetched water for old women. He even carved wooden spoons to sell at the market. But it was never enough. Not for the kind of life Amina had started to dream of. She began dressing differently. She stopped walking to the well with him. And one day, she stopped calling him my Kato. One morning as the roosters cried and the sun peeled over the horizon, she called him to the baobab tree, the same one under which they had carved their names. "Kato," she said, not meeting his eyes, "I can't do this anymore. You are a good man, but good does not feed the children I hope to have. I'm sorry." And just like that she walked away. Kato stood there broken. The village fell silent around him. Even the birds seemed to stop their songs. He didn't chase her. He simply nodded and walked away too. But you see, my friends, that is not where this story ends. No, this is where it begins. For pain, real pain is like fire. It burns you down, but it can also forge steel. And Kato, he became something else. He left the village quietly. No goodbye, no tears, just silence. People thought he had gone mad or that he had given up. For 2 years there was no word. The house he had built stood unfinished, vines curling around its corners. Amina, she had married a man from the city, a businessman with a car, loud clothes and smooth words. They moved away, and the village forgot the boy who had once loved so deeply. But the spirits, my people, they do not forget. One day, out of the blue, a sleek black car rolled into the village. Not dusty, not dented, but shining like a mirror under the African sun. Out stepped a tall man in a fitted suit with eyes like fire and a walk like a lion, returned to his territory. No one recognized him at first, until he smiled. It was Kato, but this was not the same boy who had left. This Kato had skin like polished wood, confidence like thunder, and a story behind those eyes that made even the village chief rise from his chair. He had traveled far to the capital where he worked day and night. He joined a construction firm, learned the trade, saved every penny. Then he started his own small company. One project led to another, and soon he was building not just houses, but schools, offices, even a health center. The government noticed. Investors followed. In just 2 years, the jobless boy became a respected businessman, known across region. They called him Kato, the builder, and he had returned to finish the house he once started. Not out of spite, not to prove anything, but because his roots were in that soil, and because he had promised himself that he would rise. The village gathered to welcome him. Drummers played, elders blessed him, and the children ran behind his car like bees to honey. But Amina, she returned too, not long after, only this time, the shine in her life had faded. Her husband had left her for another. She came back home with a child and no saving. She avoided the markets, avoided the eyes of the people who once praised her beauty. When she saw Kato, she couldn't believe it. She hid, she wept. She remembered the boy with calloused hands who once built her dream. One day, as the sky poured rain and the village bathed in its blessing, Amina approached him, with her child in one hand and shame in the other. She stood before Kato's new house, now finished, painted, and glowing. "I'm sorry," she said, her voice trembling. "I made a mistake." Kato looked at her, long and quiet. Then he knelt before the child and handed him a carved wooden spoon, the same kind he used to sell at the market. "You didn't make a mistake," he said, standing up. "You made a choice, and so did I." He didn't take her back, but he forgave her. Instead, Kato opened a school in the village. He named it Baobab Academy, for the tree where his love once bloomed and broke. He employed youth, trained young men and empowered women to learn trades. He sponsored single mothers including Amina to return to school or start businesses. He didn't come back to shame anyone. He came back to lift. So my friends, when you lose something, remember this: not every closed door is a curse. Sometimes it's a redirection. Kato was broken, but he became a man the world could not ignore. Amina left him when he had nothing, but life gave him more than she could ever imagine. And now the whole village speaks of him with pride. Not because he became rich, but because he remembered who he was. So remember, the people who leave when the fire is burning low are not meant to sit with you when the feast is ready. My brothers and sisters, if this story touched your heart, even a little, do something for me. Like this video, leave a comment, tell me if you've ever felt like Kato or Amina. And don't forget, subscribe, because many stories like this are waiting for you. Until next time, may your journey bring you home wiser than you left.